with the BBC. So you're very welcome to paddocktips.com. My name is John Gavin. For all of you who know me, obviously you're subscribers and you see me on a weekly basis pretty much. There's many people coming in here tonight that never seen me before. There's a lot of people who've seen me on YouTube over the last couple of years. Over the last couple of months. Well, that's actually incorrect. You stopped seeing me at the end of October because somebody got me banned and removed. Less about that and more about racing. But I'm hoping over the course of the next couple of weeks and months to get back on the social feeds with YouTube, with Twitter. It's taken me a good while to kind of get back into a process that suits me very well. But anyone who's been following me knows what I do. I'm a paddock judge. I have some great friends who are excellent paddock judges as well. And over many, many years, we've been going racing. And the last couple of years, I decided that I would actually start to, do this a little bit more professionally. And so May 29th last year, I started TikToking. It could have been YouTube, it could have been Instagram. And it was the start of an incredible journey and on the night, we actually gave 12-1 winner of a bumper. And I think it was 4 or 5 winning bets on the night. So it's just continued on from that. As always, before we get into the Cheltenham preview tonight, I just want to say, you have to try and pace yourself this week. Responsible gambling is essential. Go to gambleware.ie, I think it is, if you want to find out more. There are lots of different resources out there to help people. Please pace yourself this week. This is not a sprint. It's very much a marathon. And to be honest with you, it's a marathon where you should be taking regular breaks, and I'll be referring to that later on, because Cheltenham is a beast, and if you try to involve yourself in 28 races, you're going to burn out very quickly, and to be honest, that's not what you should be doing anyway. So if everyone's happy enough, if sound is okay, guys, I'm getting a few messages here. Everyone seems to think it's going pretty okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off and get straight into it. And a very nice message came in there from a good friend of mine, Billy, up in Sligo. We're old college buddies, and he said 33 years on, he's still enjoying the old Cheltenham previews. We used to have this back in Galway in the day. So if you have any comments you want to make, feel free to make them, or questions, etc. in the chat. I'll be checking that regularly. And I have a few emails that people sent in with questions, and I'll try to get to them. So I am hoping to get this done in the next hour. So you're clear. The running order is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Each race in order. It's the simplest way to do it. And there are certain races where literally I've no view as such, and I don't want to get into it. But I'll comment on horses I've seen over the course of this racing year. So that is how we're going to do it. There may be some issues or some questions that you want to ask. This is a live stream. This is not recorded. I am working on all of this on my own. I have no support team other than my great wife and kids. And I do not have a sponsor. I'm not looking for a betting sponsor, by the way. I'm looking for subscribers. And to that end, guys, I have to get the commercial bit out of the way, if that's okay. Basically, you can connect with me online. Please subscribe to Paddock Tips, at Paddock Tips with YouTube, and at Paddock_tips on X over the course of the next few weeks and months. That is going to be my new channel. There's so many people coming up to me at the races right now asking me, where have you been? I had a very nice man come up to me yesterday. I'll say his first name, Brian. And he came up to me yesterday and he said, God, I was wondering where you went. And we had a great chat there for about 5 minutes. And it was lovely to connect with him and so many other people over the past 8 or 9 months. And the only thing I'll say to you is, if you want to talk to me after a race, not while I'm picking a horse in the paddock, because that's what the game is about. Anyway, we'll get cracking here, guys, because there's so much to do tonight. And you can also see, and anybody who's on here tonight in the chat, you can verify it. In the past month, we've had a month and a bit. I can't remember when did Soldierstown win. Was it the end of January maybe? In Fairyhouse, a 40-1 winner. Soldierstown, she was ridiculous. Beat I think it was a 7-4 on shot of Willie Mullins's in a maiden hurdle. She was 6th in a bumper, a bad bumper, mind you, at Limerick in their previous run. Then we had a brilliant one there a couple of weeks ago in Punchestown. Chase the Moon, total outsider of the field, rocked up at 40 to 1. And I was waiting nearly 4 years for Donnaroo Dream. And she won at 20 to 1 advised the night before. And also we had a 36 or 40 to 1 winner on the double with another horse called Say for Any Day. So we've been doing all that, guys. And anyone who's part of the subscription knows that. So I don't need to get into that. So if you do want to subscribe, this is where to do it. Go to paddocktips.com. You can also go to patreon.com. It's only €2 a week. It's for virtually nothing. I race about 50 times per annum. And the way it is I've kind of priced it about €2 per meeting. So essentially you're paying me for being at the track with me. And I normally cover every single race when I'm at the track. And a new thing I've started very recently is live streaming from the track. So you actually hear me in the paddock. And if you check out the Chase the Moon one on the socials, on YouTube, on Twitter, or on X, you will see that I actually give the information to you live. And yesterday there was a great example. There was a bumper in Naas yesterday. I fell in love with a horse called Quiva. But I actually watched back the live stream myself. And it was actually, I think I mentioned the winner 5 times. How well it looked, Kilty Boo. So very often it's my second choice that wins. And we had that a couple of times yesterday, unfortunately. Lalabo being another example of it. Anyway, we'll get into that now in a few minutes. All right, guys, here we go. The Supreme Novices. This is definitely a way more interesting and exciting race than the Champion Hurdle. I think it's always an incredibly exciting race. And if you look back to 2021 was when Constitution Hill beat John, but like that kind of atmosphere, seeing a brilliant performance, that's what we all live for. Now, anyone who's been following me will know that there are a couple of these that I like and have followed and we've won money on, right, this year. And, you know, you're not going to necessarily expect me to say certain things tonight that maybe every other tipster is saying. But I'm genuine when I say that the nicest looking horse, almost the nicest looking horse that will be in this race tomorrow is Barry Connell's horse, Each to Their Own. Now, I put him up to subscribers back in October, I think it was, in Galway. And he is a particularly nice looking horse. Also put him up in Thurles when he won. Now, I was very, very disappointed with him in Fairyhouse in the Royal Bond. I'm not entirely sure what went wrong that day, but it was very, very poor. Cocktail Brute is another lovely horse, gorgeous horse. And I've been following him for the past year and a half or more. He is, and these are massive outside prices, guys. Horses that, you know, people are not even considering in the lead up to this. Everyone's talking about talk to talk, pardon the pun. But we're talking about horses that might offer a little bit of value. Horses we've seen. So the theme of tonight will be kind of referring back to horses we've seen, but also what do I kind of really fancy, you know? But I am definitely going to talk about horses I've seen or that I've been promoting to people during the year from the paddock. So I'm just looking here. I've another screen open here to my left. Cocktail Brute is currently like 85 to 1 on the Win Exchange, 66.50 to 1. Each their own is a solid 50 to 1 across the board. Now, if you can get 4 places tomorrow, you could do worse than having a 5 each way on each their own. Now, Cocktail Brute bled, and that is the problem with him. So that is an issue, and no matter how we go about it, if a horse has bled in the past, that is generally, you know, curtains for them. But he did run well enough. He was only beaten 6.5 lengths by Talk to Talk in Leopardstown. And to be fair to him, he's a really nice mover. Cocktail Brute I'm talking about here now as well. He's a really nice mover, and I think he has a little bit of a squeak here. Now, you could say, some people might say, oh, the form with Blake in that race might have done some harm. I don't think so. I think Lalabo, who won yesterday, is a superstar of the future. He's an absolutely brilliant horse. And we put him up back in Cork, as all the subscribers know. And he fell at the last when he was going to hose up for us at, I think it was 13 to 2. We backed him on the day. So there are lines of form here that give us a little bit of hope as well. But Cocktail Brute, he is a Grade 1 winner. Each their own is not a Grade 1 winner, but I've no doubt he's a top class horse. and he was running behind some good bumper horses last year. So I think he is completely unconsidered in the market, and I can't understand why, because he's such a nice model. Now, some of the fancier horses, like Talk to Talk, Sober Glory, My Daddy Paddy, My Park, Leader Dahlia. I give my quick view on all these, right? And by the way, Bar Noir is a really nice horse, but I'm not entirely sure that he'd like this ground. I do think that if Talk to Talk hasn't had, shall we say, an overly hard race in the Dublin Racing Festival, I think that he is the horse I would perhaps most likely want to be with. I was really impressed with him. And I have a video, and I'll be able to put it up at a later point. I just don't have time to fit it in tonight. When I first saw him walk past me in the DRF, I think I said it twice in a row. There's a real supreme horse. There's a real supreme horse. He is incredibly powerful and strong. The issue you have with him is he as slick a jumper as you want? That probably is the issue, if you ask me. Is he value? Like, I don't know, are any of the top of the market value? Certainly one horse I think is absolutely rotten value, and I'll come to that in a second. But he's 4-1, 9-2. If for any reason he drifted out to 5-1 and you got 4 places, I think he's an absolute certainty, provided he jumps. He's certain to be in the first 3. So I definitely think he's right up there. So that'd be my starting point. A horse I put up a couple of times this year, and he won brilliantly in Cheltenham for us. I think he was 7-2 that day, was Old Park Star. Now, this is the best young jumper in the game right now. He's the best jumper in the game right now. I'm not sure is he the best horse necessarily. People are crabbing the form, you beat nothing in haydock, all this. That means nothing, because you can only go and beat what's in front of you. But I would be massively impressed with the way he jumps. He is the most magnificent jumper you're ever going to see for a novice. And I know with certainty that he will stay the distance at a certain pace. I'm just not sure if the likes of Talk to Talk can stay with him. I'm just not sure that he'd have that kick in him, because we don't have the evidence of it. So without going into too much, Talk to Talk is right up there for me. Then Old Park Star. I think the worst value of the entire thing is Mighty Park. I just cannot have him at 5-1, 11-2, or whatever it is now. I just can't have him, because that was I don't know. I watched that maiden hurdle. I thought it was a brutal race. They let him off on his own, because clearly someone said somewhere along the line that he was a very good horse. And I just felt that he was, really, really, what's the phrase? Overhyped, I think is the phrase. And I wouldn't be running after Mighty Park at all. He has absolutely nothing in the book for me. And the other thing, and this is really, I suppose, where I come into it, as a shape, as a model, he looks extremely unfurnished to me as a physical model. And for that reason, I'd be extremely concerned that he just won't have the pace to go with them when they decide to go with. And by the way, the last hurdle is a long way before the finish line this year. So they're going to be jumping that last hurdle and then gone. And I think he'll just be left behind. Now, I might be wrong. They're saying he's the second coming. I've heard that a lot of times before. If he was the second coming, we would have seen him back in December for sure, or earlier. I would have thought. I don't know. I think this is all just after happening very quickly for him, or too quickly. Sober Glory was very impressive the last day, as indeed I thought was Leader Dahlia. So what am I getting to? What do I think? I think the forecast here is going to be, I think the two best horses are Talk to Talk and Old Park Star, which leaves one more potential, and that is El Kairos. Look, I love the horse, but I can't really back a horse that has been making, when the pace comes on, he's been making key errors. I'd be more comfortable with Talk to Talk after last day than I would be with El Kairos, put it that way. So for that reason, I'm very much in the Talk to Talk, Old Park Star, and probably Leader Dahlia to come in the first 3. I think that might potentially be the TriCast, but I'd love to think that either Each Their Own or Cocktail Brute, and I will be playing that in small TriCast bets, might be in the first 3 as well. So that would be, a combination TriCast for €1 to include either Each Their Own or Cocktail Brute with Old Park Star and Talk to Talk. And that would get us off to one hell of a start, guys, if that happened to happen. So that's what I think on that. I don't know, what are your thoughts in the comments there? Stick them in. I'm just looking at some of the comments here very quickly. I have to say, John, love your early bets. Very good. Let's go back along here. So just throw in a few comments there, guys. Tell me what you're thinking about the Supreme. And if there's no major questions or whatnot, I'm going to move on because we have 27 more races to get done in the next 40-50 minutes, if that's at all possible. Okay, so are we happy enough with that? Let me know. Just give me a quick bit of feedback there so I have an idea what's going on in the background. All right, now let's get on to the next one. The Arkle. This is going to be just fantastic. Probably one of my favourite races of the entire year. I'm massive into novices anyway, full stop. Can you still hear me there, guys? I've no comments coming through, so I'm just wondering, is everything okay? Just let me know, is it all okay? The Arkle is, without shove it out, one of my favourite races of the whole year. I get the, what's the phrase? I get the heebie-jeebies when I start thinking of this race. Thanks, Jerry. Okay, this is very simple, really. In so many respects, this is very simple. If Kopek the board turns up and he's 100%, he will win this. Okay? It's as simple as that. There is no horse to even get close to him, I would say. However, he's had one run over fences. Now, one run over hurdles and one run over fences are two completely different things. I've seen so many Arkle favourites make one mistake and they're gone. And I think from a betting perspective, do you need to actually get involved in this race? Is the question I'd have for you all. Is this just a race where you should savour the sport and just forget about the betting element? And I have to be honest, there is a high degree of that for me. Now, Lulamba and Kopek the board, they're virtually the same price, similar price, 6-4-ish. 13 days he plays Lulamba. I have a kind of a different angle. If you were going having a punt on it, thanks for that, guys. Sound is good. If you're going having a punt, I would suggest that Cargesi could win it or could be second. And I give him my theory. I think Lulamba on the ground might struggle a small bit when they are going a really hard pace, and they will be going fast. It's a pity that the other horse isn't in it, because if he was Eddie Harty's horse, I think it would potentially set this up even better for the likes of Kopek the board. But my essential gut feeling is that Cargesi can only win this by going out in front. She has no business trying to beat Kopek the board for toe over the last fence. And I think she is really high class. I backed her last year, put her up last year for the county. She loves the track. She's a really strong mare. I went off her the last against Romeo Coolio at the last moment, purely because she starts to sweat between the legs a little bit. Just she is a nervy enough sort of a creature, but like she was perfect last year in the county, and for that reason I wouldn't be worried about her. So Kopek is a stone cold certainty if he was to turn up as Kopek the board, 100%, nothing wrong with him, and we're trusting, you know, the greatest Cheltenham trainer any of us has ever seen, for that to happen. So, you know, I think they adore this horse. They've always had, or they seem to have always had, a very high opinion of him. And for that reason, I would not in any way want to be taking on Kopek the board. But perhaps the way to play it would be Cargesi to come second, or without Kopek the board, if you could get that option. I think she'll beat Lulamba personally. If he wasn't, I was there last year, I saw him. If he wasn't good enough to win that Triumph, I don't think he's good enough to win this Arkle. That's my perspective. I may be totally wrong. But this is a race, to be honest, guys, where you could just sit back and enjoy the show. And I'm going to be beyond excited. I'll be like kid at Christmas tomorrow. So that's the Arkle dealt with. I don't want to get into it any further. Steel Eye is a lovely horse. You know, there's one little angle here that nobody's talking about that much. The last 5-year-old to win it, I think, was Well Chief. I stand corrected on that. Now, Well Chief was an exceptional horse, and I think Lulamba is a very, very good horse. But there's, you know, over the top two, I have issues, and that's why I'd be leaning towards Cargesi potentially. Like what you're saying there, Sonny, about Mambo number 5. That's an interesting one. The fact they've declared him here as well. They like him. I think they think they have a chance of getting involved. So yeah, if you fancy something here, go for it. I can't put anyone off anything, but my feeling very strongly is that Kopek de Board is a champion. Um, if the ground was a bit dried up, that would worry the hell out of me for him. Won't get into reasons for that now, but I would be worried about him if it was, pretty, not firm, but dryish ground. Okay. The Fred Winter, anyone who's been following me will know that I picked out Saratoga a couple of times in the Curran. He disappointed as a maiden. Now, with his breeding, that wouldn't be... Oh, he's a non-runner now. Thanks, Hugh, for that. That might be an interesting one, Saratoga. But you know what? I'd be looking for something else here. And we put up Glen to Glen back in Cork to Patreon subscribers. And he won it a huge price, 18 to 1, I think it was. And that was a massive price in the day. Actually, a horse the other day that was kind of going the line of form, and Manoir de Morand didn't do much for it. He fell at the last, but this fella might have won that day anyway. And I really like this guy. I think he has a chance, and I think the ground is going to be really, really good for him. So I definitely give him a chance, and he's a horse that, as I say, he's been one of the ones we've been putting up to subscribers this year. So Glen to Glen for me has a huge chance in this each way. It's a race you should be getting 5 places with most bookies. I could go through every single one of them if you wanted, but to be honest, I don't see the point. I think Saratoga should be there or thereabouts. Now, if the ground was softer, I'd give him a much, much bigger chance. But with the ground the way it is, I actually really do fancy Glen to Glen to run a big race here. But it's the Fred Winter, guys. It's a diabolical race to be getting involved in. And, you could never have a strong view in this or, a big field triumph. They're just not good prospects to be getting heavily involved in. But definitely for me, I really do like Glen to Glen. I think he has a big chance here. And, I was kind of hoping that Selma Devari might have run here for Willie, but unfortunately she's not. Of the rest, you have to respect anything that Joseph runs this race, but it gave me a huge boost the other day when I saw that Glen to Glen was going to have JJ on him, and I think that he has a genuinely good chance. So not a race that you'd want to be putting massive amounts on. He was a bigger price last week, like most of these, but we saw what happened with poor old Gallopin. We saw it happen with Marine. There's horses that don't make it, and you're toast if you go after those. Now, we could have got greedy with non-runner, no bet, but anyway, I prefer personally to know that the horse is definitely going to run and to know what's on it. Okay, so there we are for the Fred Winter. Any questions on that? Stick them there in the... How are we doing here, guys? Is this all coming okay? Are you enjoying this? Do you want me to shut up or move on? If you do, just send it into the notices there and we'll do that. I didn't even check to see what kind of numbers we have here. Maybe I should do that for a second. Oh my God, there's a lot of people here. Allegedly, there are people in Dubai watching this. I don't know. Did Sheikh Mohammed actually get the message or not? But I don't know. Ultimate Chase. Here we go. One of the really difficult ones. And I thought that Meyertown was an exceptional winner of this race before. And I genuinely think that the English always have a small bit of an advantage here, especially with the way the handicap is run. Now, you talk about horses that might be well handicapped. This might sound crazy, but I do think that a horse like Handstands, if he was a potential Gold Cup horse, he could actually run a massive race here, even rated off 155. Now, would it be a strong view? No, but he is a horse I like. But I wouldn't have a strong view in this race, and I'm not going to start offering a tip in it. I did like Imperial Saint a few times before. He kind of disappointed me a few times. He's a beautiful horse, lads. So he's the kind of thing that will look magnificent on the day. So if I was watching the telly and I happened to think he looked exceptionally well, there is a chance that I could maybe have him in a forecast with Meyertown. But Meyertown, if I was to have one off a 10-13, I think Moiretown really, really stands out to me as the one that I would probably go with there. But not a strong view, not a race I like, so move on. Champion Hurdle. Okay, now, I saw Brighter Days Ahead, lads, the day she was sold in the Derby sale. And to this day, I've never seen a more magnificent looking horse walking around the ring in a Derby sale. The Blaheens consigned her. She was truly magnificent. She sold 310 grand. And she's a mare I've followed, done very well with, especially last year when I backed her to beat Stateman. I was more certain than ever of her winning that day in the Christmas Hurdle against Stateman back in what would have been 2024, Christmas 24. And, you know, that was just a wow performance, but it turns out she probably left her season behind her. There's all sorts of stories about travelling. There's all sorts of stories about this, that and the other. The simple fact of the matter is, if you look at the figures, she is the highest rated horse in this. And she is an Irish Champion Hurdle winner. Which brings me on to a previous point. It is going to be difficult to know until the Supreme is run for sure whether or not the DRF has taken out a lot out of horses, and particularly if we see then in the Arkle if Cargazzi completely bombed out, then we'd know there was a problem, and you'd be very concerned about Brighter Days Ahead, because the ground was, don't forget, they cancelled racing, the ground was unraceable practically. So how much is it taken out of them? You know, Amsterdam is a bit of a monkey. Alexei is a good horse. He could definitely run into place. The New Line, I'm just so concerned about the way he jumps. I backed him last year, put him up last year for the Turners. He won, but my God, the jump at the last really did put the frighteners on me. Work Ahead, don't think is good enough. Golden Ace, again, she could run into place here. She could win it. Do I think she'd win it? I don't think she'll win it. Personally, I think it's between the New Line, Lossiemouth and Brighter Days Ahead, and of those three, the price is probably going to be better on Brighter Days Ahead. And just for me to have an interest and watch the race, I don't need to have a bet to have an interest in it. I can just watch this race because it doesn't really set the fires alight for me. But she's 9-2, and as an each-way prospect, I think she could definitely win, and I'd be very surprised if she isn't ahead of all these. Tutti Quanti was absolutely monstrous in Newbury, but you'd have to wonder, could he do that off of much, much better ground? So that would be the issue for me there. Brighter Days Ahead, that'd be the selection for me. Each way, it's the only one that makes any sense to me. Amsterdam has been a monkey so many times. You know, I said to somebody last night, and I'm still thinking, this could be like an Esbord Allen year. A 20-1 winner could win it, and it's just a totally flat atmosphere when the whole thing happens. You know, the two mares could bomb out. The New Line, you know, touch wood, nothing happens in, but you know, he might clatter one or two and his race is over. Poneros, that could run on. Do you know what I mean? There's all sorts of possibilities. This is the worst Champion Hurdle I've ever seen. End of story. It's the worst Champion Hurdle I've ever seen. You know, I'm going back to the days of Beat Road here now, but like none of these are even in the same bracket as your Istabrax and all that. The New Line is a really nice horse as a physical. I do like him a lot. I am very worried about his jumping though. Very worried about his jumping. In the same way I'd be worried about El Kairos' jumping. Two of them could go and win tomorrow, no question or doubt about it. But like they're brilliant horses, but it is all about jumping. And if you've concerns about a horse's jumping, that really could put the mockers on. So Brighter Days Ahead, fun each way bet. I think she has a great chance. Don't pay too much attention to the whole travel issue, but I'd be waiting to see her in the parade ring beforehand, before having that bet. If she's walking around, her ears are pricked and she's looking around with her head, she's a great skinner, no sweating, you need to back her. I was all over her brother back in 2023, and he looked awful in the parade ring, and I cashed out everything I had on him, Mighty Potter. So Lossiemouth, Ben, if she's away from start, would have to be one to be. Yeah, I think Lossiemouth is the beyond the solid option of being first or second. My fear is that I think something like the New Line or Brighter Days Ahead might be better than her on the day. She runs to such a solid level, but honestly, the fact that I think she did a good bit of racing earlier in the year. She wasn't good at all at the DRF. Now, Paul didn't dip her. So, you know what I mean? There was plenty left, I'm sure. And he was thinking of another day. But, you know, Lassie Mount is going to be in so many multiples tomorrow, I've no doubt. And she certainly has a chance. No question or doubt about it. The blinkers on, she definitely, you'd imagine, is going to be ridden, is going to turn out a bit more lively in this race. So, that's the champion hurdle. I got to move on here and get through the rest of these real quickly. The plate is not a race that in any shape or form attracts me normally, except for one thing. This year, number 17, McLaury is a horse that I have been following for a long, long time. I put him up and backed him at the DRF last year in 2025, and he has been very tenderly campaigned, is the phrase I'm going to use. And I think it's unbelievable bit of training that he's got in here off a mark of 133. To my mind, this horse is at least a grade 2 horse, and he's in off this handicap off 133. I expect him to win. He'll go very, very close. There are some nice horses in here that I've also backed quite a few times, especially Muir Park. Okay, he might be a little bit of value each way. He's a lovely horse. I really like him. There's something really likeable about him. I do like him, and I think he's a big chance. McLaury is currently 5-1. Muir Park is 16-1. Outside of that, Gypco is a horse that I backed, would you believe, years ago in a Triumph Hurdle at a huge price, and he's won a few times for me as a chaser. So I do like him. He's a nice horse, and he's in around 12-1 right now. So he might have a little bit of a chance as well. After that, someone asked me about him, Bitter. He's actually a horse. Again, I saw it at a Derby sale, picked him out at a Derby sale years ago. And he's a nice horse, but I couldn't possibly see him off of that rating at his current age getting involved. He might have a small squeak each way, but I wouldn't be putting him up myself. I think the likes of Garjo Dreams could go off Lickety Split and Madara, the English horses of those. The English horses, they're the two that I would fancy. But I wouldn't have a strong view. I do have a strong view of McLaury. I think he is so well handicapped. If you can get 5 places on him tomorrow, he's the one to be on. The National Chase used to be one of my favourite races. They've ruined it by making it shorter and turn it into handicap. They've absolutely ruined it. This was one of my favourite races, always. You'd always get a real Grand National type horse in it and get a really good quality horse in it. Fiona, I just was commented on in Bitter there. I had him in the email, so I just gave an update on him. The text is coming in about a minute later than it goes up, guys. Just be aware of that. Okay, a lot of people are talking about Back Me or Sack Me and horse like that. I genuinely, I laugh when I see Pick Rock because this is on Johnny Dineen's dirty list. And if you don't watch Johnny Dineen, you should. He's gold. He's absolute TV gold. I hope someone gives him a big contract next year because he is meat and drink for me every single week. And I hope for the rest of you as well. He's just amazing. No bother, Fiona, thank you. So what do I think here? Look, you need a real stare. Ground is going to be fairly decent. I honestly would struggle here. There's nothing that I've been watching all year at tracks or anything that are going to be really involved. A Flemonsford horse for Paul Nolan, I'd be very worried about that, with ground in particular. Carasso Blue, definitely. I've seen him a few times. He could potentially be a little bit better than some of these, but honestly, I don't have a strong view, so I'm not going to waste any more of your time on him, guys, if that's okay, on this race. It was a race I did so well in over the years when you had proper chasers in it, proper grade 1 type chasers in it. The name escapes me now with the horse the Patrick rode in the Wiley colours, but I won a fortune in an accumulator on him one year. Anyway, the Turners is one of the most exciting races of the whole week. Now, I do apologise for this section. I couldn't get the colours up or whatever. So there's horses here that I've liked, we've backed. I'll go through them all now in a second, the ones that I'm most interested in. This is a very, very tough race. But there is a horse over here, and everyone knows him. That's in my group. And currently, Zeus Power is, I think he was 50 to 1. When I looked at it earlier today, he may not be 50 to 1 anymore. Again, JJ is riding him, which is great. So currently, he is, just get it up here now. Zeus Power is 66 to 1 if you go and visit your local Carl bookmaker shop. Yeah, he's 80 to 1 win online. Now, I'd be looking for 4 or 5 places here if I could. This is a really, really nice horse. Is he the most likely winner? No. But when you've got so many horses at the top of the market at fairly tight prices, all the top 5 are under 10 to 1. So, like, if you're getting 50 to 1 and you still have a chance of winning, this is a gorgeous horse. I really like him. He will love the ground, guys. And anyone who's been with me all along will know I put this horse up in a bumper action in Galway. Couldn't believe he was beaten. Now, the ground was horrific on the day. That's why he was beaten. But he dotted up for us another day, and he won at Navan as well. And I think that this is a horse that he reminded me so much of Solness when I saw him. And Joseph and Kevin Blake and all the people involved down there just deserve such credit. They buy just really high quality racy horses. The type of model I love, right? They have them. And this is another one of them. This will be a gorgeous horse in time. So is he good enough? Will he be mature enough? He's only a 5-year-old. Will he be mature enough to win this? I'm not so sure. But he is a really nice horse, and I think he has a bit of a chance. But 5-year-olds have a distinct disadvantage in this race. So, Shut Diplomacy, yeah, nice horse. I've won a few quitting him over the years. Again, there's questions come through on him. He's a nice horse, big each way price. Lars Destraval, I put him up in Limerick at Christmas. Now, he wasn't fully fit. I was actually saying at the time, if you went and looked at the video again, it wasn't a great quality race, and he wasn't really that ready. But he's won nicely since. King Rascal Grey, I'd fancy the balls out of him if he actually ran in the Albert Bartlett. I think he'd run away with the Albert Bartlett. He's a big, rangy chaser. He cost massive money. They bought him from the Costlows at the Goff's Arkle sale. And they even had a nickname in this guy at home. He was known as Elvis, and I can see why. He was a stunner, right? I don't think the horse was singing at home now, to be honest. But in the case of King Rascal Grey, this is a 3-mile plus chaser of the future. And the fact that he ran so well in that, now was heavy ground, so it didn't suit kind of speedier types. But he did run very well. The story of the week for me, though, would be I'll Sort That. Now, I backed him in a forecast bet in Fairyhouse in a bumper against Sortudo. And Declan Queally is one of the sharpest and most talented young trainers on the planet, I would say. He is incredible what he gets out of some of his horses. And, there's a couple of young trainers in the country right now, the likes of Owen McCarthy, Declan Queally, guys Cian Collins, guys that are just getting unbelievable results. And another trainer that I'm really, really like at the moment is Philip Rotwell. Like, he is doing remarkable stuff with turning out horses, running really, really well, and been turned out immaculately. There's some really fabulous trainers that are not considered your top tier, but they're exceptional trainers. And I think the job he's done with I'll Sort That is exceptional. I would love to see this horse win. And I'll be keeping a close eye on him now to see what he looks like, because I think he might have a little bit of a chance. I would have been much happier if Riskaway ran in the longer race, the Albert Bartlett as well. I think he'd have a better chance there. Ballyfad, great horse, has done a lot of hard racing this year already. Sortudo, again, I would have preferred him if he was in the Albert Bartlett. I think he'd have a huge chance. And, there's other horses, Walks in June, a horse I put up one day in Navan, disappointed and bolted up the next 11 to 1. in the DRF. I was absolutely puking about that. He was so bad that day in Navan. But then again, the ground was awful. So, what do I think? I'm definitely going to have a few quid each way in Zeus Power. I think a good few of you will. So, it's going to be an interesting race if he was to turn up. Is he good enough? I don't know. There are two, though, I have to talk about, right? I really did think that Skylight Hustle looks super. But the selection for me is sober, lads. After all that, why? I saw him in the Moscow Flyer, and there was a really nice horse that Jigginstown had there that I felt he'd only one horse to beat, and the pace of the race and the ground and everything was going to have a huge impact. Didn't jump great the first one or two or whatever, but once he got jumping, he was flying it. I think this horse is miles better than everything in the race from a pace point of view. I think he will just devour them in the last 2 furlongs. If he jumps around, I think this fella wins. I think I saw a horse, and I explained to someone afterwards, just the physical development of this horse. This is a fully furnished racehorse. Some of these have virtually no running done. Like, Lawrence Desterval, lovely horse, probably 2-3 years down the line. King Rascal, great, lovely horse, gorgeous horse, could win an English Grand National 2, 3, 4 years down the line. Ballyfag, gorgeous horse, not in any shape or form the same level of development as him. Sarturi could say the same. But this sober, he's ready to rock. And he was 20-1 last week, and I was so tempted to have an anti-post in, but I got badly burned with another thing before that, and I stopped. I had one anti-post, and it was only 3 weeks ago, and within a couple of days it was gone. And I just said, and it was on Oh My Word. Anyone who's in the group would know I put up Oh My Word to win the bumper in Navan one day at a great price, and I love that horse. And of course I had him in my accumulator, and what happened? Well, all was toast as soon as he was pulled out. So got greedy. Sober, I think, guys, is the one for me. Think you love the ground and have an each way on Zeus Power. Right, move on quickly. Race of the week here. Race of the week. I was absolutely jumping for joy this morning when I saw this. There are so many horses in here that I like. It's not even funny. But I'm just going to tell you straight away, right? I was absolutely thrilled beyond thrilled when I saw that Cocktail Diving was declared. Now, Cocktail Diving got beaten by Romeo Coolio in Down Royal. Completely different scenario. I put him up at Christmas, and he absolutely bolted up. He was exceptional that day at Christmas. And I definitely thought I'd seen the Sun Alliance winner that day. There are other nice horses here. Final Demand is the biggest question mark of the whole week. I can't believe that Final Demand was so bad at the DRF. There's something not right there, if you ask me. I don't know what it is, but it was pretty awful, and I was so disappointed. I'll come back to something about Navan. I mentioned it earlier with Walks in June and maybe other horses. When Navan was that bad that day, I was there. I've been in Navan a couple of times this year. But that day back in November, lads, the ground was horrid. And I just wondered, did it take an awful lot out of him to put in the performance he did that day? Now, on the flip side of that, another horse that went, and geez, this is a gorgeous horse. And you know what? The Kings, Daniel and Connor, deserve such a pat on the back. They've done unbelievably well with this horse. And I do feel sorry for them. They haven't got their ground. This horse, I walked the track, or part of the track in Navan, the day he won the last day. And I was absolutely certain he was going to win. He looked beyond anything else that was in the paddock. And I really hope for them, because they've really done a great job with this guy. I saw him in Punchestown, and I felt so sorry for him that the ground wasn't going to be soft enough. And it remains to be seen whether or not he actually turns up on Wednesday. But yeah, lovely horse, but I just don't think he has his ground. Gorgeous horse, Final Demand. Just don't think I could back him. And then the horse, I actually picked this lad out of the sales, and I have a few people on here as my witness to that, in 2023. And I backed him last year in the Supreme. I backed him in the Cheltenham Bumper the year before, 20-1 each way. I picked him out in the sale. I'll never forget him when he walked past me. I turned around to a guy, I had no catalogue, I had no idea what the horses were. I turned around to the guys behind me and said 300 grand. And he got to 300 and they were jumping for joy, nearly bidding on him then. And he actually went and he sold for 420 grand, right? It was on the Thursday evening after the third last day of Cheltenham. Ryanair Day. They have a sale in the ring. But since then I've followed him and I absolutely adore this horse. He's amazing. Actually, the other horse that I liked that night, funny enough, is Jalan Dudari, and I'll talk about him later on. And he was another one I picked out. I think he was lot 19 the night, and he also made 420, but that's a different thing. I put up the big Western guys down in Limerick, but she really does need soft ground. I thought they were crazy to run her on really far too good a ground last year in the Albert Bartlett. I thought they'd destroy her doing it. She's a magnificent mare, and she won really well in Limerick that day. But I think the pace of this is just going to be completely different. Predator's Gold might have a chance of running into place. K. Doughty, I can't have him on this slightly better ground. He's just look at his front legs, lads. Oh, Jesus, I couldn't have him. But Willie Mullins is a wizard with these horses with dodgy legs, some of them. And how he keeps them sound, I just will never know. But couldn't have him. Couldn't have Argento, Joystick either. Kit's Boohul is interesting. Definitely. Now, he had a perler of a fall in, was it Kempton? Or Sandown, I think maybe. He had a perler fall. Now is the hour. No, couldn't have him. Western Fold is definitely interesting for Gordon Elliott. He's Galway plate winner. And I'd be kind of saying, look, I think that this fella has a bit of a chance, a real chance of running into a place. So, I will definitely be looking at Final Demand extremely closely in the parade ring. He's the one I would be most concerned about. Is there something not right with him? There's so many nice horses in this. This is just, for me, this is the best race of the week by a mile. I hope they all turn up. I hope they all get round. I adore Romeo Coolio, but I think on this day he's had a lot of hard racing. I think Cocktail Diving is the horse that's coming. And it'll be a fairly strong view for me to go with him. All right? Okay, I'll keep rocking on here, guys. How are we doing? Just send me on some text there. Those are in the group, or tell me how we're doing. Is it all coming through okay? Hopefully it is. Okay. Okay, people are telling me there's nothing coming through. I've got some people in the Patreon group who are telling me there's nothing coming through, and I don't understand why. So if you could... just let me know it's still going okay. Love Sober, but the jockey. Okay, who is the jockey and Sober? Someone tell me, is the jockey been declared? I haven't seen that in the last few hours. Okay. Alright, guys, next bit. Patrick is riding according to one of the lads there. Okay, interesting. Alright. Here we go. I think what's happening to those people is they might be waiting for a live stream in the community. So if someone could just send them the link into the community and tell them that would save me the hassle trying to do it here. Okay, this Bet MGM handicap hurdle. I used to be the Coral hurdle. Lads, this is a mother and father one. I know some people like figuring out the handicaps I've won. Thank you, Jerry. I think there are some people who are just brilliant at figuring these out. There are horses in here I've backed in the past. Franciscan Rock is an old friend of mine. He brought up a massive tri-cast for me one time as a novice in Punchestown. It paid 256 to 1 or something. It was actually Gaelic Warrior, and Affordale Fury is actually the horses that are in it. The Yellow Clay, back to that Navan scenario back in November. The ground was absolutely horrific that day, and the Yellow Clay would definitely be a concern for me. Just think he left the season behind him that day. Farn Glory is a horse I love. He's let me down a bit, but he's a real classy sort. Colonel Mustard was against the Yellow Clay, also ran in that race, and I'd say destroyed himself in Navan that day. I did think when I saw Katira here, I was going, oh, they've done a great job here. I think Katira is much better than her rating. I think this could be one for Dan Skelton, lads, to be honest with you. I started a joke for Charles. It'd be very interesting if Charles could pull this off. I saw that horse in Limerick in a bumper. It definitely has been a good job, and I was looking at Bunting as well, thinking, Jesus, have they managed to get that in at that? It kind of stood out a small bit to me. I think he's better than that rating, but you'd want to have £20 in hand here. And I honestly don't have a very strong view. So, yeah, it's interesting. Katira definitely was one, and Bunting, they were two at a handicap level. I was looking at going, yeah. This, of course, was the big talking horse last year. But I saw him, and personally, I didn't like him on the day. He may be much better now, but didn't like him on the day. Cross country chase, not a race I've been getting heavily involved in, but a little bit of an each way value one might be this horse. Fakir Dudari, right? This was a very, very good horse a couple of years ago. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think that he has a little bit of a squeak. The ground is going to be, shall we say, it's going to be tough enough going, lads. I think that's the best way to describe it. So am I going to be getting heavily involved? No. I have him as a small bit of a chance, and I think that I think he has a little bit of a squeak here. Favre Champ 2, Stumptown. Stumptown had an impossibly difficult race over in Czechoslovakia. So that's going to be an issue. Conflated, I would think, is gone at this stage. I just don't know. Desert House definitely might have a little bit of a chance. But yeah, I wouldn't have a strong view on it other than I used to love Fakir Dudari. And really caught my eye off a 10-7 with Darrell Keefe on board, and the genius that is Enda Bulger. One of the greatest horsemen that has ever lived. It just caught my eye, and he'll be bang ready to go. Okay, Queen Mother Champion Chase. Look, lads, anyone who knows me knows what I think of this horse. I wasn't going to go with him after he disappointed me so much in Cork. Oh God, I was so deflated that day with the way he got beaten, but there was reasons for it, I think, to be fair. And he disappointed me so much that I was going to abandon him at Christmas. I thought it would be Marie Nationale or maybe Found a 50 or one of those. The second I saw him in the DRF, I said, all over. Sent a message out to you. You all know it. Madrid, just different beer. First time I ever saw this horse, those who know me long enough know that I fell in love with this horse the second I saw him at the DRF. His first ever run, he came third. I put him up for the Triumph Hurdle. He rocked up. And I put him up for the Arkle, actually, in that Cheltenham preview that year. I said, he'll win next year's Arkle, and we all know he should have won last year's Arkle. This fella is an engine that just nobody gets close to. I had a view on a horse that if he ran in it, the horse being Solness on this kind of ground, if he ran it, I was going to give him a big shot without him, or potentially to back him each way. Funny, I think that Irish Panther could play that role now. I think that Irish Panther could potentially go off in front. But the question is, will anything be able to go at Madgeborough? And I think that they learned the last day how to ride this horse properly. Let him at it. Gone. Don't hold him up. And nothing will see him. And one thing I can't understand here. Last year I backed Quilixius at 40-1 in this race each way. We all know he came down at the last. He's 7-1 there with some people now. I cannot understand that at all. With a much better horse in the race than anything was in it last year, and he's 7-1. It just makes no sense to me at all. I don't think Found a 50 will run here now. He's been declared. Maybe they will run him. I love Found a 50. Everyone knows how much I like the horse. I did a big write up on him earlier ahead of Down Royal, and he disappointed. And then he beat Madgeborough in Cork. Talk about sticking it in your eye. But Lotus Sudwood, I think, definitely need ground softer. I think Elete Tom had a horrid fall last day. Couldn't back him on the back of that, especially. He's a bonny horse. Saint Segal is a nice horse. But again, just don't think it's going to be good enough. So look, to me, this is over already. It's Madgeborough. If he stands up, it's over. So don't. It's one of those stand back and enjoy the show races. If he does what I think he could do, it will be the performance of the week. Factify last year was the performance of the whole festival. I think this guy could put up one of the all-time great performances. And those of you who remember Masterminded in the Champion Chase, this is the new Masterminded. But I've been saying to anyone who listened to me, this is the new Cauto Star. I think this fella is ultimately going to be a Gold Cup horse. Might win this en route. that'll be something else. Okay, Grand Annual, impossibly difficult race. Not a race I like. Well, it's not a race I like anymore because I got done one time in it with a horse called Thanks for That, and Paul Carberry came steaming down the outside in the last 150 yards of a horse called Belvano and did me. But I wouldn't be getting heavily involved here. It's genuinely not one that I have any strong view on. There is a horse declared for it that I really liked in Punchestown last day. Looked amazing. Break my soul. I put up Calico earlier in the year. Back around the end of October. I think we actually had the forecast in that race. Paid about 27 to 1 if I remember. So Calico definitely. Only problem is he doesn't have Harry Skelton on him, and the fact that he's riding Be Aware and not Calico would lead me to conclude that Be Aware probably has a better chance, because like the Skelton boys, they're missing nothing this year. They know what they're at. Don't have a strong view, but Break My Soul might have a huge price and ran really well last day against a horse I love in Pure Steel. Really like Pure Steel. Think he's the most gorgeous horse. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how they'll perform, but not a race I'll be getting involved in, guys. Now, the bumper, one of my favourite races of the whole week. Not necessarily a good race for the horses, but one of my favourite horses, or favourite races of the week. Now, here's how it is. We'll start with this guy. It's only a game, Martin Brazel. We were so unlucky yesterday, guys. Anyone who was following me on YouTube on Patreon will know I put up Built by Ballymore yesterday at 11 to 1 each way, and came down to the last. I think he still had loads of running left in him. He was off a postage stamp and cannoned into horse at last. That would have been a great one for us. So I've seen so many of these, right? So it's only a game. I saw him at the DRF, and I also saw With No Limit. And specifically on my video, the exact phrase I used was, "Now there's a bumper horse," when I saw it's only a game. Now I saw him in Punchestown. He looked fab, but I thought he'd develop on from it. But he really looked fab that day. But he got very upset. So temperamentally, there might be an issue. I'll be waiting to see him down to start before I'd even consider having anything on him. The horse then that was my second choice at the DRF was the total outsider of the field. I backed him at 33 to 1, and he got beaten the shortest of short heads at 33 to 1. Was With No Limit. I love this horse. Not sure about the ground for him. Probably would like it a little bit softer. He got beaten by Broadway Ted, and that was a great performance. And just for personal reasons, I have a relative, one of my father's cousins bred this, and it'd be particularly emotional for them if this horse won, as one of the family members passed away suddenly there not so long ago. So for Pat Gavin, I'd love to see this one happen. Charismatic kid, and he has a full sister at home. So I'd love to see that happen. That would be great. Another horse though, guys, that I put up at the Christmas Festival, I also gave the forecast in that race, was Keeping Company. And he really was putting a hand up. I backed the horse that was second to him called Passenger Each Way at 16 to 1. And stupidly didn't do the forecast. But Keeping Company was a very, very powerful winner that day. Really liked him. Love Sign Danu, I'm not into him. I think he's too short a price. You laugh here now, guys. I've seen so many of these. Of Land and Sea, the day we put up the 20 to 1 winner down in Limerick, Donnaroo A Dream, I was there for the bumper, and I picked out two horses. One of them ran Puke, and this was my second choice, and he won at 14 to 1, half the track. He was the horse, if you remember, the Patrick Mullins rode up on the all-weather track, going up the hill in Limerick. So look, I don't think he'll win. I don't think he's going to be good enough, because I have seen a lot of these, and a lot of these are way nicer than him. But yeah, it's interesting that they run him, and I wish the Hennessy's the best of luck with him. I thought the Irish Avatar was very impressive the last day in Navan, and I put up the horse that was second to him. I put him up in a bumper recently, and he scooted up, so he definitely has a chance. Colin Keane riding this really catches the eye, and he did win well. I've seen Moon Verin twice, definitely has a chance. And you know, you can make cases for lots of them, but For me, if the ground was, I'm sorry, I'm going to take out of Land of Sea. I don't want anyone going home thinking they're the ones. But the three I'm interested in are these three. It's only a game, keeping company, and with no limit. And I'll be keeping a very, very close eye on what I see on the day, down in the parade ring if possible, and down closer to start before I remake my decisions. Okay? All right, guys. This is taking me twice as long as I thought. We're at 9 o'clock. I'm going to go a lot faster. I'm going to have to. But as it happens, it suits because a lot of these I don't have a strong view on. I do have a very strong view in this race. Now, some of these are not going to be declared. But one horse that's definitely 100% going to be declared, I believe, is Echoing Silence. Now, you got to see this mare. She is absolutely stunning. And I think that she's going to love this. There's no doubt Bambino Fever, there's no doubt she was a brilliant winner last year. The bumper form is in the book. And if you like her, you have to like Old School Outlaw as well. I genuinely think that this is a three-horse race between Echoing Silence, Bambino, and Outlaw. And I'll be playing the TriCast in this race. Unless I see something in a paddock that puts me off it. But Echoing Silence, I'm very sweet on each way. I really, really like her. The next one, Jack Richards. Look, not certain what's going to be declared now. Obviously, there are certain horses that have been declared that can't be for this. I didn't have a particularly strong view in the race other than Regent Stroll has disappointed too many times. Cocktail Diving obviously won't be now declared in it. I think 6 Mile Bridge is the one that, if I'm not incorrect, 6 Mile Bridge is the one that I think can run in this now because he's not declared for the Brown Advisory, and for that reason he is the horse I like most. I've backed him a few times this year. I really like him as a physical. I think he could be the one, and I'd love to see him win for Fergal O'Brien in particular. So he would be the one I like. There's other horses in it that have chances, no doubt about it. And the one that I think, and he will be declared for it, I'm nearly certain, is Kiss Will. The last day in Punchestown, he was not off a yard. And he was ridden very, very, very tenderly. And I think it was with this in mind, end of story. So, 6 Mile Bridge and Kiss Will very much the top of my mind for this race. I think they both have big chances. Next one, but not a race you need to steam into. The Mayor's Hurdle. Okay, this to me now looks like it's an absolute certainty. I saw Woodoo win last year in the Martin Pipe, and to be honest, guys, I think this is her race to lose. I can't see anything getting close to her. I think she's miles ahead of them. As far as I'm concerned, it's a one-horse race. Move on. I just can't see anything beating her. It's definitely a case of move on. She's the one. What will be second to her? It just, you could say Jade de Grugy, maybe Feet of a Dancer might have a chance, definitely. But not a race to get involved in for me. Just move on. Time to go. Stairs Hurdle. Okay, I genuinely did think when I was in Fairyhouse, when I saw Ballyburn just get chinned by nose, I thought I'd seen the Stairs Hurdle winner. I still think that he may be the Stairs Hurdle winner. Okay? Especially if Paul rides him. I think he's as talented as you come across, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened so far from back over hurdles. The other one I liked, I was very impressed with Ma Chantou, the last day of the way won, and Emma Lavelle has trained Stairs Hurdle winners, so I was very impressed with that. And the other one I did like, I'm not going to lie, was Impose Trois. If he is declared for this, which I think he will be, I thought he had a great chance. Bob Andrews is a phenomenal horse around here. He could still win this. But I think the race is going to set up differently this year. And if I was Paul Townend and I was riding Ballyburn, and you look at it, guys, it looks like, he's the only runner that Willie's going to have in it. So Townend's going to be on him. How many horses is Willie Mullins that could have run in this? I think this is very simple. Put him out and go, and make them all come and get you, and I think he'll win. I might be wrong about that, but I think he has a phenomenal chance, and at a big price, I think he might be one that'll give you a bit of a chance anyway in this race each way. I don't see any value in the top 2 or 3. They wouldn't be for me at the prices. I just couldn't get involved in them, to be honest with you. Okay. Next one then. Sorry. Just get that up. Are we going okay here, guys? I'm moving on a little bit quicker, as you can probably see. Okay, Ryanair Chase. Last year, I was on my way to Cheltenham, and this race was on. I pulled in, had a look at Fact of File going around the paddock. I looked at him for 20 seconds, if even, and I texted one of my good racing buddies, and I said, "You're about to see a Vautour performance." I was stone cold mad about him. I've loved this horse from when I first saw him, and I really, really, really do think that he's home and hosed here. I love Banbridge. I'm a huge fan of Banbridge. I've done very well with him. Put him up in the King George this year. Got chinned at 18-1 on the line. I do like Banbridge here. Matata is an interesting horse. He's let me down a few times. But he might run into a place. Potentially, he's definitely going to be up in the van, I would think. Heartwood. I actually put up Heartwood to be second Fact of File this last year. And that forecast came up. Don't think Firefox will be here. Gaelic Warrior won't be here. Elete Tomp won't be here. Imperial Pass probably won't be here. John Bond won't be here. So this race is, Romeo Coolio won't be here. There might be 6 runners in this by the time declarations come true. And I think Fact of File will be Banbridge, and either Heartwood or Matata, I think potentially could be the ones to follow him in. Might be a race for a TriCast, but I don't think you're going to have the runners. But Banbridge each way against Fact of File. The issue with Fact of File is he hasn't really put up a good performance after a great performance. And that is a bit of a problem. But the fact they didn't run him in the Gold Cup, is he firing 100%? Again, he's one I definitely want to see in the paddock beforehand. All right. Per Toms, oh my God, trying to figure this out. Kiki Joe did me a massive favour earlier in the year. I really like this horse. I think he might be value for his weight. I've been hearing all sorts of stories about Supremely West. I think it is going to the English, this one. I just cannot see any Irish horse getting involved here. Except for one. And that is Duke Silver. I was very impressed with him when he won at Christmas. And, okay, I think handicap-wise he might be struggling. He's not a huge, big horse. But he definitely has a little bit of a chance. I hope Let Us gets in for Tony Mullins. And he would be interesting for sure. Is a race I have a big opinion on? No, I've picked out the winner of it a few times. But that was when I was at the track. So I think he has a small bit of a chance. Interesting, actually, John, if Banbridge goes for the Gold Cup, that would be very, very interesting. Personally, I'd run him in the Ryanair. I think he's a better chance of winning something here. Okay, Crow Park. I've won a few quitting Crow Park for, but won't be putting up this time. The Kim Muir race I've loved over the years. Race I did so well in good few years ago, was so close to the biggest TriCast bet, biggest TriCast win I ever had. I had the first, second, and fourth in this race back in 2022, I think it was. And they were 40-1, 66-1, and 35-1. And a horse called Mr. Coffee got in the middle of them all and messed it up on me. But anyway, and there was only 3 lengths between the first and the fourth. Race that I've done well with, not a race I'd be putting anything up in. A horse I loved for 2 years, Daily Present. Backed him 2 years running and didn't back him last year, won it last year. The jockey is very, very important in this race. And so, look, whoever is riding Walford Whispers, if it's Derek O'Connor, that's going to be huge bonus for him. Can I rely on him? Well, look, I think maybe he ran his race the last day at the DRF. He might have fired all his bullets. So, is he any value? No, absolutely no value. I'll tell you what I think might be a bit of value, particularly depending on who rides him, is the Enabler. If he runs in this, I think he might be a little bit better than some of these. There's another horse running in it, and just his weight caught my eye. Again, if he runs in it and gets off, is No Time to Wait. And the last one is a horse that I definitely think has a chance, but again, does he get in? And he's a monkey, an absolute monkey. But he might have a small bit of a squeak here. It's Hunter Legend. He's been very, very difficult to follow. But I wouldn't... Okay, so Derek's riding Nicky's horse, Jericho the Repene. Well, that means one of the good Irish amateurs will almost certainly be on Watford Whispers. Who that'll be, I don't know. But let's wait and see how that goes. Not a race that I like unless I see the horses. And the jockeys will have a huge role in this as well. Okay? Okay, guys. We're on to Friday. We're not doing too bad. It's 15:15. I've made up speed there. I'm increasing the pace. Okay, Triumph Hurdle. I was very... Look, everyone knows I had put up another horse and he got injured and he's not here. And Narciso has. I picked him out in Fairy House. I sent a message out, said it was nicest physical by a mile. He got beaten by a horse of Gordon Elliott's on the day, but we made no mistake at Christmas. And it's such a pity he's not going to be here because he'd just run away with this. He's different beer to all these. I don't like races where there are horses who you basically have no form to go on or no real form to go on. And there's quite a few of them here. Like Willie Mullins last year, we all saw what happened. So with Poneros. So it's going to make it very, very difficult to be definitive. I'll tell you what I do like. The two horses I like the most are Selma Davari. I was really impressed with her. Behind Narciso has. I like Highland Crystal. I've put her up a few times and she's won for us. And the other horse I like is Dan Skelton's horse, Maestro Conti. They're the three I like the most. I don't know where they're the best, but they're the three physicals that I like the most. Selma Davari is a very light, but she's a really racy filly. And she was bouncing around the parade ring and clearly on her first run, she was going to improve. So they're the three that I like physically. Don't know whether they're going to be good enough. Don't know what's going to be declared. The likes of Proactive are quite short in the market. But they're three I like. They might be a bit of a price. Maestro Conti is probably... If you pushed me very hard on what I thought, I thought that Maestro Conti might be the one. County Hurdle. Picked out the winner of it a few times. But when I was at the track, and that's the key here, I have no idea what's going to turn up here. There are so many right now. There's 50 odd horses there 50 horses that are still potentially in it. The likes of Nadawi's run really well at the track was there. Was second last year to Cargesi. So he's second in the race. But is it a race that there's something like screaming at me? The answer is no. I'd be wondering about the likes of Zillow. Is this like an incredibly clever plan to get him in at this weight? Look, guys, it's just not a race that I want to be offering a view to right now. There are so many horses that just probably won't even get into it. So you have to be looking at the first, I would imagine, 25 horses here to try and figure it out. Not a race I can say anything about just now. So maybe for those who are in the Patreon group, you can get an update on that when we have decks. The Mayor's Chase, I do have a strong view on. So I was in Naas earlier in the year, and there was a horse there that wasn't fit that managed to beat proper 155 horse, and she wasn't even fit. And I came away from it going, she must be grade 1 if she can do that. And then Gavin Cromwell's horses weren't running well at all. I think Only by Night is way better than her rating here. Like, way better than her rating. She nearly won last year's Arkle. And if Majborough rocks up, you'd want to be thinking twice. Well, he doesn't even need to rock up. If Majborough does what we think he'll do, it's a huge compliment to her that she nearly beat him last year in the Arkle. And Django Bai is second favourite for a Gold Cup. So you have a horse that's going to become, if he jumps around and wins, is going to be crowned as the new superstar of jumps racing. And you have another horse who's second favourite for a Gold Cup, and the mare that was in between them is staring in the face here off a 148. Now I know, obviously, her rating doesn't matter because it's a conditions race. But I believe she's way better than that. The other horse I think could be very, very good is July Flower. I think she's disappointed. She disappointed last day, and her jump in the first day around Cheltenham, you wouldn't be like 100% sure about her. But I do like her. I saw her when she got beaten I'm sorry, when she won, the year before last in Leopardstown, and it was hugely impressed with her. So I think she could be interesting. And, you know, Dinah Blue's been there, done that, but everyone's saying she's certainly. I don't buy that at all. This is a race to be very careful of. They're the two that I like at potentially big prices. And, when it's a big prices, better than Dinah Blue. Spindleberry, yeah, very nice mare, definitely has a chance. If it was slightly longer distance, I'd give her an even bigger chance. Right, Albert Bartlett. We Panic Attack, gorgeous, fabulous, amazing, but has done all its running earlier in the year. And I think the horses, especially mares, they only have a certain longevity in a year. Trained by genius, definitely could have a chance. So couldn't rule it out, Daniel, at all. Do you know? 4 for the whole festival. I'll come to that in a few minutes, Ray. All right, good question. Okay, horses here that I like, especially one. I saw Espresso Milan and put him up at Thurles. I think this is the ideal Albert Bartlett horse. He was 10-12 to 1 the other day. I don't think Paul is going to be riding him, but at the same time, we'll just wait and see. I really like this horse, and I think he has a great chance. There's no doubt horses like the Devil You Know and the Passing Wife. And let me go back here. I moved on there accidentally. The Devil You Know, the Passing Wife, Shuttle Diplomacy. Shuttle Diplomacy is declared for another race already, I think, isn't he? But the Passing Wife, you'd have to respect that. I think this is a very good horse. And the other one I give a little bit of chance is my old friend that I picked out the sale. He did have some sort of a hold up before, but Jalan Dudari, I think it'll suit him. I think he's a really nice horse, a gorgeous horse, and he might have a chance. But the one I like most for me is Espresso Milan each way in the Albert Bartlett if I was going to play in this. Okay. Highlighted the whole week, if you're not into novice chasing, is the Cheltenham Gold Cup. It's the day that I wake up and it's like Christmas Day. It's the day that I love most in the whole year. I love my wife, my kids dearly, but this is different level from a sporting point of view. This is what you want to be living for. And if this race never gets you excited, there's no point. If, I hear people saying, what's the best day to go to Cheltenham? If you're not already thinking the Gold Cup is the day to be there's something wrong. It's great excitement tomorrow, but that moment before the Gold Cup is super special. So I adored Galopin Des Champs, and I was so disappointed and heartbroken for everyone involved that he didn't make it. However, what it does is it changes the way I look at this race, and I genuinely do think that this race is going to be won by some of the kind of unexposed types, is the best way I'd describe it. And there are 3 horses that, in my head, fit that profile really, really well. I think the Jukebox Man, there was a friend of mine, I sent him out a message a good few weeks before Christmas. He contacted me and said, what do you fancy for King George? I said, 1 horse, Jukebox Man, wins it. But on the day I saw Banbridge, I was actually in Limerick, and I saw Banbridge going around the parade ring, and I thought, Jesus, he looked incredible, and I actually changed my mind, and I went with Banbridge, and of course I should have done the forecast. Another one of my second picks rocks up. I cannot have I know the way you're thinking. I just cannot have him at all. He was a good winner last year, but I don't think if he was to turn up on another day, I don't think he would have won that race. Basically, I think that the Jukebox Man is the up-and-coming horse. He's probably the best jumper in the field. I adore him. I think he's a fabulous horse, and what a story if he won. The other horse I really, really was impressed with the last day, and I gotta be honest with you, I love this horse. It's Balance Tower. I give him a right good chance of being in the first 3 here. I really do like him. I think he's a fabulous horse. If Banbridge turns up in this, I didn't like him in the parade ring last year ahead of the race compared to the others as 3.5 mile chasers. So I'd probably put a line through him again. I just think he's a speedier type. I think he needs the Ryanair. So I hope they don't declare him for this. And the other horse, and again, the ground is going to have a massive bearing. But you just look at this horse and look at his head and look at the length of his ears. This is the most genuine horse imaginable. He's incredible. He's just kept improving, and I just adore watching him. He's just amazing. His height and colour. I think he'll be the stain on horse, the Grand National horse. You know, that'd be my opinion. I think he'll just stay and stay and stay. The most emotional story of the whole week would probably be Envoy Allen if he could win. This look, if you're there, go down and look at him because you're not going to see him again. This is the most magnificent specimen of a horse you're ever going to see. He's just something else. He's literally like God. He's a different level altogether. One of the most special physicals there has been running over racetracks for the last 20 years. This is a super special horse. So make sure you go down and try and get a picture of him if you're over there. I think Gaelic Warrior will be too gassy. I really do. Now, if there's a really strong pace, he might have a chance. Personally, I think he'll be too gassy and mightn't just stay home. I think he just lives on his nerves too much. Django Bai, I'm not convinced about him. I'm just not sure. If he was in the Ryanair, I would have put him right up there to have a right good cut off a Factor File. I'm just not 100% sure about him staying. So that's mentioned him. I think Lampress, great horse, but just think he's gone over the hill. And Seller Story, cannot see him, although he could run a big race. Jamie Codd put up Firefox, I believe, so he may have a bit of an each way chance somewhere in 4 places, but I couldn't have him. I'd be stunned if he was good enough to do it. So the Gold Cup, I think, is for the jukebox man to win. I think I genuinely think Bland's Tower could be close. Aphrodite Fury, you know how much I love him, guys. I put him up to all my subscribers 11-1. I think he was when we put him up in the Savills, and he was a great winner on the day. The problem is he cut out so badly the last day, and apparently it was a hamstring injury. Just not enough time for me to say, yeah, you'll have recovered in time for the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup, if there's the tiniest fraction wrong in the Gold Cup, you do not win it. It is the most brutal test of a horse that exists. It's why so many horses never come back from it. And I cannot put him up, in all honesty. I was on him at 150-1 in the Albert Bartlett 3 years ago. And one of my good friends was on him at 200-1. Talk about coming back horse when he came second. So Alan, if you're listening in, that was one of the sweetest moments ever. Nearly got a straight winner at 200-1 at Cheltenham. Yeah, I love the horse, but no, on this day I can't have him. So yeah, that's what I think, guys. Gold Cup, what an amazing race, what an amazing moment for everyone involved, and please God, they all come back safe and sound. That's the most important thing for me, especially in that race. Hunters Chase, I'll send the group, I'll text it to the group later on or tomorrow. I picked out Wonderwall at the paddock, and Mickey or Decky, if you're listening in here or you're watching, I need you to verify the fact that you were standing beside me, the two of you, and I picked out Wonderwall at 28-1 in the paddock here last year. Wonderwall should win this, I think. I listened to Derek O'Connor talking about him the other day. He was riding him out in Curlings, and apparently the horse is absolutely bombing. So I think he will go very, very close here. Panda Boy, saw him winning Turles recently. Definitely would have a bit of a squeak, I think. I'm not mad about horses that come back into this discipline, though. It's not, I don't know, does it ever really work? But yeah, I do think that Wonderwall, last year's winner, would be my selection again. Now, he won't be the price I had last year. He won't be 28-1 this year. But it's a race that is very much worth looking at in the paddock. Because very often a lot of these horses come from smaller operations, and therefore you don't quite see the same level of what's the phrase, handling, I think is the word, in the sense that, you know, there's an anxiety around some of the horse. I've seen this a few times over the years, and you know, it's their big day. They might have only a handful of horses in training, and a lot of horses you can put a line through them just on that basis down to paddock. But anyway, that's where we are with that. And to finish, guys, and I'll just give a little bit of commentary at the end and one or two other things and we'll be done. The Martin Pipe. There's really only one horse I'm interested in, if that's the phrase, and that's assuming that she's actually declared for it, and that's Heir of Entitlement. I love this video. I remember I was in Punchestown when she was there for a bumper, and she was 16-1. I think she was maybe run once in Cork, and there was a couple of young fellas there that I know, and they were all anxiously waiting for me to say, "Well, what do you think? What do you think?" I said, "Oh, it's all over." I said, "Air of entitlement, just absolutely different beer to these. 16-1, steam into it." And she totally bombed out, and I was horrified with the way she ran, but the ground was probably too good for her. And then she rocks up in Down Royal Maiden Hurdle, and then her next race is she wins the Mayor's Novice last year by half the track under Rachel Blackmore at the Cheltenham Festival. So I never forgot her, couldn't forget her after she did that to me. Look, I don't know what's going to be declared here, guys. There's too many right now. It's 54 horses there. It's impossible to say this far out. But again, for those in the Patreon group, I will certainly be putting up my thoughts as decks are made. Okay? So, that is the end of tonight's Paddock Tips 2026 Cheltenham preview. Thank you to every one of you for participating, for coming in, for watching. What I would ask you to do is to just please share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the Twitter channel as well if you can, or Twitter feed. Also, I'd really appreciate if you get the link and you send it to other people when the recording goes up here, as it will do on my YouTube channel shortly after this is over. I hope you've enjoyed it, and most importantly, if you can, join me on Patreon. It's only €2 a week, guys. Tiny amount of money. We've given massive amount of winners, and the comment that everyone keeps coming back with about what I do is just consistency. The level of consistency is what people really enjoy, and I give a lot of yes, there is going to be a playback just for Sean, who's asked a question. You'll be able to watch it all back again. The playback will be available shortly, but if you do subscribe, make sure you download the Patreon app and join the members community in the chat. That's where I put up, when I'm not racing live, my thoughts are kind of generally put up in the community chat, and you'll get to know what I do. Like everything, guys, it's racing, it's horses, it's animals. You know, things go wrong. Horses underperform. You might have a very strong view on something and it all goes wrong. And I think that the main one for me is, you know, what I'm trying to do is give people a new insight into what paddock picking is. I grew up around horse all my life, and I was lucky to have grown up around a master with horses and could see things and could learn things and got great experiences, and that enabled me to do what I do with my friends. Like, we do it for fun, but I love going racing and just being at the paddock and just picking out horses. My biggest thrill of all is actually going to the sales, picking out a horse and following them for National Hunt Horse for 8-9 years. So that is what I really love doing, you know. And so those who know me, I'm not one of these loud, I won't start mentioning other tipsters, because I don't think they're tipsters. I think they're total frauds. I'm not into that. I'm not into pushing an agenda. What I'm into is trying to build a community of passionate National Hunt and flat followers, and people who love racing for what it is, love the horse, and who might not be able to translate what I can translate at the track. I'll be as wrong, more often than I'm right, most likely. But when I see one, I see one. And those who are in this group know that. And, you know, go back and look at the Twitter feed, go back and look at the YouTube, and you'll see the evidence is there in front of you of what I can do. And there's only a couple of videos there now, but there'll be a hell of a lot more over the next couple of months when I get all my legacy stuff up. And no thank you to TikTok for destroying all of my 6 months work before that. Now, people are asking, what are the kind of top 4? I think Sober will win the Turners. I think that Talk to Talk, if he jumps in the Supreme tomorrow, I think he'll win. Majbrew will win. And I give a really serious shout to Echoing Silence in the Mares. They're the 4 that I like a lot. I like a couple of horses in the bumper, but the ground, like, I really do like It's Only a Game. But his temperament and all that could play a part. You know, the Gold Cup, I do think the Jukebox Man should probably win. Um, and, you know, there are other races there where I have expressed a lot of different views. But I suppose the thing, guys, is we all have a view. I've shared with you a lot of information based on horses I've seen during the year. I've been racing. I've seen these horses. I'm not like some of the charlatans that are out there. Like, people know me at the track. I'm in the pouring rain when no one else is standing in the lashing rain at Navan. I'm the guy standing at the corner with the camera and the phone out trying to get this information for you. So the reality is I do go racing as regularly as possible and pick up this information and then use it to your advantage. Somebody last night posted in our community to say, basically what I'm giving you is a piece of the jigsaw. And I think that's a brilliant way to look at what I do. You know, some people pay for different subscriptions for this, that, and the other. You know, I always said the form book tells you what did happen, but the parade ring, through my eyes and translated the way I look at it, will give you a high percentage chance of telling you what's about to happen. Of course, the big problem are things like handicaps, but when it comes to bumpers, 2-year-old maidens, graded races, novice races in particular over jumps, I'll be able to give you, like, the lab boy I picked out down in Cork, never saw him before, and he should have run away with it. And look what he did yesterday. You know, Zeus Power, another great example of it. And I've no in, by the way, to Joseph's stable or anything. I just picked them as I see them. So that's what I'm trying to do. And hopefully, after tonight, a few of you will learn a bit more about me. Those of you who did know me on TikTok have maybe refound it tonight or will over the next couple of days or weeks. And if we have a whole heap of winners here, sure, everyone will be talking about it, which would be great. But as I say, I want to remain consistent, deliver a good service to people. And I really do appreciate your support tonight in being part of this. So thank you so much. You can send in any other questions you have here or comments. I'll just stay online here for about another minute and I'll answer some questions. And then I'll end the live stream. So hopefully it's been a good experience for you. Technically, it seems to have worked okay. The YouTuber telling me the quality is excellent at the bottom here the whole time. So that hopefully has come true. And yeah, we'll keep going as best we can. All right. So questions, if anyone has any. Thank you guys for all the compliments. I do appreciate that. If there are any, I can't see any questions here just right now. They may come up, or people are done. It's just gone 9:30, so people are probably done at this stage anyway. But hopefully, if any questions come through, brighter days ahead. Guarantee. As in, is she guaranteed to win? Or am I offering a guarantee on her? No, the thing about brighter days ahead is, I think if she gets into rhythm, I think she's a very, very high tempo horse. I think she's a really high class horse. She is the highest rated horse in the race. I think she gets into rhythm. If I was Jack, I'd make the running with her. And I think they could struggle together if she got into rhythm. She's a great jumper. I've no issues with the ground. None whatsoever. She's a catguard mare. But yeah, that's what I think about brighter days ahead. Sam has just sent in, my week revolves around Kopek in the new line. So I misstarted pod. What do you reckon those? I said straight out, I thought that Kopek the board, if he turns up 100%, they won't see him. They won't see him. I think Cargesi is a small chance. The other one was the new line. I'd be a little concerned about his jumping, no question. I'd be afraid he'd make a bad mistake. I love him. He's a great horse. He's as strong as a bull. He could be definitely second brighter days ahead. Last time out, obviously could run a race. But yeah, I've gone through that. Okay, anything else, guys, before I knock this off? It's time for me to get a drink. I didn't take a drink the whole way through it. I'll just wait for another couple of seconds if that's all right. And for anyone who's on my Patreon group, if you want to send me through any comments or feedback in the group in a little while, I'd appreciate that as well. Hardy stuff. I'm not sure about. Is he declared? Ogie, I'm not sure. Or is that? I'm not sure exactly what it is. Okay. Thank you, Declan. All right, guys. So we're kind of coming to the end of it. I think, are we in the Triumph? I think it's what you're talking about. Is it? I'm just not sure. Is he going to be declared? Is he definitely going to be declared? So yeah, if he turned up in the Triumph, he definitely would be interesting. Just not sure. Is he good enough? Yeah. Oh, is he? Sorry, is he declared for the Fred Winter? I thought he was going to be running the Triumph. Not sure. Like obviously enough, when he won at Christmas, that was Christmas. I think was he won. He might have a bit of chance in that, but I don't know. I think I'll have to wait to see Dex for that one. Saratoga. You're again Saratoga, yeah. Wouldn't disagree with you. I think he just might not be good enough. Town for top jockey. I never back on the jockeys, guys. It's bad enough trying to figure the horses, but yeah, I thought Mark Walsh had a serious chance of being top jockey potentially. When you look at some of the horses he's riding, Fact to File, Madgeborough, McLaury, surely they'll have another one. He definitely could have a bit of a chance. Mighty Park tomorrow. You know, there are those. Okay, so it's the night before Christmas, guys, and it's important to go to bed early. We've a massive day ahead tomorrow and a massive week ahead, and I'm going to be pretty busy. So if it's okay with you, you can feel free to contact me. I didn't give out my email address there, but you can contact me through social media on Twitter if you have any more questions or whatever. So listen, guys, thank you so much. Iwa Kolasov, good day, Gislan. The best of luck to you all during the week. And as I said earlier at the very start, take a pull, take it handy, don't go crazy. And yes, this will be available to watch. It'll be on my YouTube channel there, available for anyone who wants to watch it. I'll post it also on our Patreon group and on social media, or on Twitter/X. All right. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the paddocktips.com Cheltenham 2026 preview. I wish you all the very best of luck. And don't forget to like and subscribe and consider joining us in our Patreon group for the next couple of months of racing. It'd be great to have you. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. And thank you, everybody.